Sechta, bava basra, daf lamed hey amud aleph. We're starting from 3 lines from the bottom of lamed dalet amud beis. Zok the Gemara ze oimesh alavosai.
Say it slowly. You got plenty of time.
Okay, 2 people. Zalman sent somebody in exchange for him to say the beis abchira. Yeah, ze oimesh alavosai, ze oimesh alavosai. There were 2 people that were fighting over money or movable items. Each one says it's mine and it came to me by Yerusha. Omer Rav Nachman. It could be, yeah. So we said bein metaltlim, bein metaltlim, bein bekarka. It says sai metal, sai karka. Right? No, he could say he got it as Yerusha. Yeah, whatever it is that each one is saying. Okay. So the Yemada.
Right here.
Oh, yeah, 3 lines in the bottom.
Yes, we have it.
Yeah. No. Lamadala Beis. Each one says it's my. Each one says it's my father. And Rav Nachman Paskin. Rav Nachman called Alam Gvar. Whoever is stronger, either physically or berayis, that's the one who wins the case.
Rav Nachman is the one that created this principle.
Yeah. So he says, bein berayis, bein bekoyach. Either way, l'chayra, somebody who comes with rayis, it's talking about l'chayra that should go through bezin. It's talking about rayis that's not sufficient to be brought in bezin. So the bezin, let's go. When we say kol de'alam gvar, there's 2 ways of looking at kol de'alam gvar. You could look at kol de'alam gvar, that bezin throws up its hands. He says, "You guys do what you want.
Take care of it.
Take care of you between yourselves." Or kol de'alam gvar is a psak. We're going to rely on the system because usually the one that's really belongs to, he's going to fight for it more. So that's the way you can learn.
It doesn't mean fight. It should bring more eyes than his.
Or bring more ayahs, or even fighting. He says the guy who really belongs to, he'll fight more. So this is how he is. So the Rosh, you have over here Rosh Mavai Keshasher Eimer Kol Hangwa Balariv Hagei Barish Lach Lemam Zeichel Azik Boy. So what will be the difference if we say Bezdin throws up its hands, or Bezdin, it's a psak? Bezdin says, well, we rely on the system that whoever is the real owner will fight. What's the chilek? The chilek is, if Bezdin throws up its hands, he says, I'm leaving it up to you guys. So Kol Da'al Gvar will go on every day. I'll win one day, and the guy will eat spinach, and he'll become Popeye, the strong guy, and he'll take over the next day. And he'll keep. So each time they're going to fight over each one, and it's never going to end. That's if Bezdin throws up the hands. But if we learn like the Rosh, that the pshat is no, we're relying on the system. It's a psak like Yachleiku, and the minute there's Kol Da'al Gvar, the reason why one guy won because it was his. So, and we leave it like that. We're not going to let him tomorrow come and try to grab it out unless he comes with real rayas.
It's like a business thing.
Right. So there's 2 ways of looking at it. So according to one way, the Kol Da'al Gvar never finishes. It goes on and on. If it's just the best throws up its hand and we leave it up to the system.
Like a gat sometimes.
No, I hear you. No, or we learn Kol Da'al Gvar. It means that again. That it means that it's a psak din, and once it's done, it's over. In fact, the Gemara, how is it different? Over here, you're passing Kol Da'al Gvar, and then there's a person who gave a case of a person giving out 2 studies matana. He gave one to Reuben, one to Shimon. Had the date, the same date, just didn't have the time. And he says it wouldn't make a difference if one had his 10 o'clock in the morning and the other one had 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because the kinyan is not chal till the end of the day anyway. So since the kinyan is not chal till the end of the day, it doesn't make a difference in the time. So the shaila was, who does it?
The same day.
Same day. And it could be either one guy made him so crazy he wrote him another star, or maybe he had to, he made a mistake, he gave it to one guy, and then he have a closer karib that I want to give the matana to, and he wrote another start that day, and he wants to give it to the next guy. So the Gemara, what do we pass? And the Rav Amar Yachleiku. Rav says by such a case where there were 2 studies given at the same date on the star as matana, Rav says yachleiku. You divide it. Meaning you divide the karka equally. And Shmuel Shuda the Dayone. Shuda Dayone, there's two shittas what Shuda Dayone means. Rashbam says Shuda Dayone means that Bezdin takes time and shuts up. Who would he have wanted to give it really as a matana? This guy is more of a karev. Mistama, he wanted to give it to him. That Shuda Dayone. The Bezdin gives according.
Should be a question.
Not discretion, but Bezdin gives according to their umdana, according to their
So
understanding.
if he knows he wants to give his friend more,
Right.
It will be no yachleik with it.
Right? No, I'm talking about Shmuel. Rav says he say yachleik
Yeah, okay.
because Rav says one might lose out of it
Okay.
completely.
Shmuel's up?
Shmuel says no. We should. One guy is for
so
sure
should give it to
losing
one
out.
guy.
We should give it to one guy, but how do we should it dine? Meaning we rely
Depends on what the shots up.
the Bezdin to shots it up. And Bezdin shots up who is more of a karev, and that's one shot. Shuda Dainai, according to Tesis, means that Bezdin can do whatever they want. They can give it to this guy, that guy. It has nothing to do with shotsing up.
No, there's what kriegt the Charav Nachman is that called the Alman Bar?
Oh, 1 minute. So Shmuel and Rav, l'chein, it's the same case. It's Mam and Hamut b'Safik, right? Just like over there by Izeh Shalavais, Izeh Shalavais, right? So, and over here, what did you paskin? Either according to Rav Yachleiku, or according to Shmuel Shuda the Dainai.
So they give him a.
So why did Rav Nachman say by Zayim Shalavayisai, neither of them have rayas, right? Why didn't he paskin Yachleiku? Why didn't he give up Psak or Shuda the Dainai? Like Shmuel. And for the Yamada Hasam, there by the two studies, Leikele make him alod the Milsa. There's no way of ever finding out who he really wanted to give it to. He himself doesn't know.
Wait, he died already, this guy?
It left after he died. He gave two
Okay,
studies.
okay,
But either he's not alive, that's one way. And even if he's alive, he's not sure, he doesn't know. So,
He had one in the morning, one in the afternoon.
yeah, but he doesn't know which one he meant to really give it to.
They were both.
But, oh, that's a shaila. But the Hashbam says not. That L'cheri could say he had a mind to give it to both. And say Yachleiku. So he says no, he meant to give it to one of them. That's how the Hashbam learns. I'm not going to go through the whole thing over here. But right now, he says over here, what's the case? The case here, there's no way of ever finding out what the truth was. Here, he says, we don't know who he really wanted to give it to.
Because it's a Matana, right?
Because the star has the same date, right? And you can't figure it out. And even if he's alive, we wouldn't trust him because he becomes like a negei b'dava.
Because it's a Matana, so therefore you don't know. Oh, in the morning he liked
No,
this
you
guy.
asked.
In the morning he liked this guy, in the afternoon he liked the other guy.
Okay, but are you going to say you wanted to say that over here? That let's ask the guy, but that guy cannot say any edus because he's a negei b'dava. He's the guy who gave the studies, so we can't rely on him either. So therefore, so there's no way of ever being mevarer. So that's why Bezdin paskins a psak either yachlik or shuda the dainai. Hacha ikla make malad the milsa. But over here, it could be established. How? Because the guy could later on bring rayas that it was his father's. So then it will be a kuchavat lula to Bezdin. Bezdin makes one psak one way. And then later on, they come up with a different. The guy brings ice. We have to change the
So
psak.
listen to the baby.
It's a Muslim Beidina. We call it Kluchavat Lula. It's a whole joke for Bezdin against Bezdin. Yeah, but that's a beside the Bezdin. You have 1 foot out, 1 foot in. One day you say this way, the next day you change the psak. It's not good. So therefore they said Kol Dal and Gvar because we don't have nayas, and nayas will come out later. So let them haksich kafim ban. But over here we know they'll never be figured out. So it's up to us to give up psak.
Was the
And
guy
Bez-
he gave he gave the Matana.
The- He gave 2 studies. He doesn't know.
Can't be ever getting.
And we can't rely on him. Even if he says he knows, we can't rely on him. He's in the game of those.
So you were
Gave
give
out
him
the
psak.
shot.
Yeah, but we can't trust him. He's in the game of
This
those.
star is good, this star is not good. They're both
So
very
Right.
stars.
So the psak is what? A yachleik of them?
Or according to Rav Yachleiku, or according to Shmuel, we're going to say Shuddha the Daine. Meaning
whatever
Bezdin,
the
either
says.
one shot means Bezdin will make a umdana, a shatzim, who he really wanted to give it to, or Shuddha the Daine means Bezdin can do whatever they freely give it to whomever they want. This should be a psak. That's enough. According to Rav Tzach, like according to Shmuel, no. Shuddha the Daine. You give it to one. Okay, the answer for this case. How is it different than the case of by the case of that we said before? How is that different? From this case that we learned in the Mishnah in Bab Metzia, machlif potter b'chameir, one who changes a potter for a chameir, a cow for a donkey. The same. So yeah, he says, so how was it done? Through chalipin. He pulls the chameir, and the other guy is automatically kinda the potter. He's moishech the chameir, but the other guy is automatically kinda the potter. But nobody looked because they were both there by the Mashiach. Once he did the Mashiach, once the Baal HaPorah did the Mashiach, the Baal HaChamei was kind of the Porah. But in the meantime, the Yoda, the Porah gave birth to a baby. So now we don't know. So the Porah gave birth. The Baal HaPorah pulled the Chamei. And the Baal HaChamei was now kind of the Porah. When they came to the Porah, they didn't know when it happened. It could be it happened before the Mechira, the baby had it, so it belongs to the Meicha. Or could be the Yolda was after the Mashiach, and it belongs to the Lekeach. So now we have to say, first of all, the Rashbam says a couple of things. Rashbam says, number one, where was it born? In a swamp, not in a chotzer, or in a barn, because the barn is his. The kaka would have been kind of for him. So we're talking about it was born in a swamp, like a half get but not belonging to anybody, in a half get place. Another
It's called
a swamp.
No man's land.
No man's land, or he calls it a swamp over here. Another case.
Could be belong to property of somebody.
Okay, but he usually a swamp is he uses that lashon for Africa. Another thing, another prat is we have to talk about that it was chalipin, because if he paid, let's say he gave him money for the potter, the Baal HaChamei paid for the potter, right? Money, that wouldn't have been the kinyan yet. The kinyan is only after he's moishech the potter to himself. The Baal HaChamei has to do a meshicha. So when he comes to do the meshicha, we see when it's born. The only reason why we weren't able to see what happened, and it's a suffix to us, is because there was a chalipin here. What happened? That the Baal HaPorah was Meishech the Chameir, and the Baal HaChamei was kind of the potter right away, but we weren't there when it happened. Then he came to take the potter, he sees the baby, he doesn't know when it happened. So what do we pass him?
Where was the Khalifin?
Yeah, Meishech, it was Meishech. It was a case of kinyan of chalipin. There was through a kinyan chalipin. The same thing happened with a shivcha. Somebody who sells his shivcha knanis, and he was makabel of the lekeh was makabel through a kinyan chalipin. The yolda and the shivcha gave birth, but we don't know when it happened. The meicha says, "Ad shalei macharti yolda." You know when it gave birth? Before I sold it, it's mine. It gave birth while I was still the owner, before the kinyan started.
Here you could know where she had the baby, not in
We-
the field.
Huh?
Here she had the baby in the
She
house.
had the baby. The shivcha wasn't elsewhere by her father, whatever. Yeah. Yolda, and the lekeach says no. After I made the kinyan, then the potter gave birth to a calf. It's mine. So what do we pass him? Huh?
But the shifra,
Or the shivcha, either one. It's both cases.
the same idea.
Yeah, usually they say a second marriage is a machle potter v'chameir. It's a joke. Okay. So anyway, yachaloiku, you divide it. So what is it?
So it's better or worse?
So, huh?
So it's
Wissen, that's right. So he says like this here. What do we say? We don't say yachleiku. We say, Basra says, we throw it up, we throw up our hands, kol alam gevar. Over here is a suffix. So why shouldn't they give a psak of kol alam gevar, or at least, or say yachleiku like you're saying yachleiku here? What is a big difference? Hosam, There, by Machlek Parah B'Chamei, we had to give a psak din. Why? Lahai Islay Drada de Mamena, Ulahu Islay Drada de Mamena. Side, both of them have a shaykhs to this parah. The Moich had a shaykhs to the parah before he sold it, and the Lekech has a shaykhs to the parah after. So they both have a shaykhs to the parah, and they don't know from where this calf came from, is it from the Moich or not. So since they have a shaykhs, we're talking about they're both there, Muzakim, they both have a shaykhs, Besna has to give a psak to these two, and they say, okay, Yachlik.
That's called the Dura de Moment.
That's according to Rashbam. Teresa says that first. Let me say, and over there by the Hacha, Idemar loy Demar, Idemar loy Demar. He says there. First of all, neither of one of them, if it belongs to one, it doesn't belong to the other. So you can't pass Yachlik. Here there was a reason by the case of Zeh Oima Shalavoisai, V'Zeh Oima Shalavoisai. If it belongs to this one, it's this guy's father, not that guy's father. If it's that guy's father, it's not this guy's father. So it's not two people that have a shaykhis that we have to give a psak between these two people, the Muzakim. So therefore, according to Rashbam, we have to, the Drada Mabena means that a shaykhis, we have to give the psak Yachliku. But over here, neither, first of all, if both of them for sure don't have a shaykhis to it. And number two, it could be neither of them have a shaykhis. And according to Taisus learns what is the Radha Maimena. Taisus says when you look at the case by Hamach Parah B'Chamei, right? When you look at the case, you see there was exchange, and you see in your eyes is a Bezdin's eyes before them saying anything, they see a suffix right away. But by the case of the ship, let's say it's in the water. Without them saying anything, Bezdin doesn't even know. It probably belongs to one guy. They don't have a suffix.
They made the whole crew.
They, mitzad zeir tightness, is given the suffix. So in such a case, we leave it up to them. We throw up our hands. But in the case where we see a suffix without them saying, it's us, our chiyuv. We see the suffix. We have to give up psak. That's according to Taisus. Amri Nahadoi. Says the Gemara in the Bnei Yeshiva of Nahada, they said in a case where two people were fighting, and they were fighting who belongs to the ship. Now a third guy came from the marketplace, and he grabbed the ship for himself. Do you keep on fighting, you two guys? I'll take the ship. Oh, he goes on. He just drives off. He figures out how to start it. These guys were standing on the back of the boat fighting who it belongs to. He drove off. They both fell out, and that's it. He got him right there.
They're both swimming.
Yeah, they're both swimming in the water. So anyway, the third guy, Melech Hazaka, sagt die Gemara, ein Bezdin Meitzian Oisam Yadei.
Wow.
Bezdin does not take it out of his hands, right? So now we have.
Isn't that sort of a cold down bar sort of thing?
How does the third guy come into the picture? So the answer is he can't give it back. He doesn't. It's like we learned yesterday when Bezdin takes, it would intervene and hold on to the svina when in a case where they don't know who it belongs to. They can't give it back because they don't know who the rightful owner is. He falls into that category. When the third guy grabbed it, he falls into the category like Bezdin, say he doesn't know who to return it. He cannot return it. He can't put it back to say call down and go out because once you have taken it, you have to be able to give it back to the rightful owner. That's what he says here. The Tani Rabchia, because in Adar they learned Rabchia learned Nabraisa Gazlan Shal Rabin. One who was Gazlan, he stole from the Rabbin. This case, there were two guys fighting. And he stole from the Rabbin. He stole from one, and each one was saying it's his. And this third outsider came, so he stole it. Lav Shmei Gazlan, meaning you cannot take it out of his hands. You can't force him to take it out. So he learns Pshat that Rashbam learns.
Why is
Huh?
How come it's not Shmei Gazlan?
He's not called a Gazlan because, meaning Benegeya, to who did he steal from? Maybe it doesn't even belong to these two guys either.
So therefore what? Because
So-
it's not a god.
so-
he has rights to it.
He has rights to it, and he doesn't have to return it. But he says Zalderich that Bezdin intervenes. Here.
Who says
on the Rashbam. Here, let me see what number it was. 5. Lav Shmei Gazlan Lefina Hadoy. Ravashi Seiver Shafa Pisha Shnaim Machishe. We're up to now Ravashi. 1 minute. So Ravashi said. So he says he's not considered as a Gazlan at all. Faket. I made a mistake. What I was talking about is Ravashi. No. He's
stole, right?
Who?
This third guy stole.
This third guy stole, but he says Lefina Hadoy. Because we don't know who it really belongs to. Ravashi, but he's not called a Gazlan. He's not called a Gazlan, the meaning that he should have to return it. He doesn't have to return it. Ravashi Amalaylam Shmei Gazlan. So you have to be, and you have to. There's a chiva you to return it, and if you didn't do the return, you're over on being not being doing the Hashavas Hakzela. Ravashi says, La'ilam Shmei Gazlan. He is called a full-fledged Gazlan. Umay Loi Shmei Gazlan. So what does it mean? What did the Braisa mean when they said a Gazlan Sharab is not called a Gazlan? Sheloi Nitin Lehishavim. That he cannot return it. Like here comes the pshat of the Ashbam.
So what it means?
So he needs to Lehishavim. As a Gazlan, no, he's for sure Gazlan, but he doesn't have a kapara that he's able to return it, and he considers this case as a Gazlan derabim where somebody owns a store, and he has a scale and he plays with the scale, and he stole from so many people he doesn't know from whom, how much, he doesn't know who to return it.
Or he stole from the shareholders.
That's a separate case, yeah. But here we're talking about kipshuting.
People bought shares.
Right.
He said it's all mine.
So here he says, "I'll give you." Yeah, el bichlal lashon habayis kol hagoyz adam beifin sheini yadei lemi olav lashiv goyin hameich bemidos umishkalis ma'afsim. Ma'afsim means crooked. He played around with the scales. With the scales. She'eng zeilasin nitanes lahashava hel ve'eni yadei as mi rima ubekama. He doesn't know who he tricked, how much. So usually they say the kapara is to do something for the rabbin. There was a guy that he wanted to make money of the boxes of tissues. It says 100, and he used to put in 90. He used to put in 98. So then he felt bad that he was stealing, so he decided. So in order that it should be, he wanted a kapara, so he started to put an extra 102 in each box. And then they checked it out, and the government wanted to show. They started to count. Not the government. No, they were counting the tissues, and they saw, oh, this is a good company because he's Erlich. He's giving 102. The reason why he went to 102 is because he wanted to kapara. We learned in the Mishnah Cheskosam Sholei Shanim Miyem L'Yom. The Chazaka. The Mishnah says that the chazaka of karka is through eating 3 years, day to day. If it's a field that is made to be used every day, he has to have a chazaka of full 3 years.
Why have that through? Why has to be day to day?
If it's used day to day, if it's made to be used day to day, then he has to have a 3 years chazaka day to day. Some things are seasonal, like we learned in the Mishnah. Amar Rabbi Abba said, if the mother kama, the original owner, went and helped the person who was trying to make a chazak in the karka, he filled up that guy who was making a chazak in the karka, he filled up his basket, he helped him put it on his shoulder, he helped him bring it to the house, says, you're not allowed to have a chazaka, it's gleich a chazaka. Because the ma'ara is showing, the one that's fighting is saying, I'm the real owner. The original owner showed already with his actions that it belongs to the one that's machzik because he filled up his basket with the payers of the field.
Maybe that's a reason why he's doing it.
1 second. So right now we're saying he doesn't even have to wait 3 years. It's chazaka right away.
How's a person kind of karka?
What do you mean how? A person is training a karka? Either with shtar, with chazaka, with kesef.
Kesef is shtar and sand. Why do you chazaka? What's chazaka?
Chazaka is that here we said 3 years takes the place of a shtar. He wasn't there 3 years. But by this guy filling up his basket, the previous owner, now he comes a second later and starts fighting, You just were made that it belongs to him. You took your own fruits, filled up his basket, helped him take it home. It shows that it belongs to him. Amar Rav Zvid says the guy has a way out. The original and say, why? You know why he filled up these payers? He says, he says, he says, you know what happened over here? This person, haradativ means that he's an artist, he's a sharecropper. He gets 25% or 50% of the field. So I helped him with his chilek that he's supposed to get, his share.
You give it to him.
So therefore, he doesn't have a chazaka. He doesn't have a chazaka right away. He has to still hold on to his star because he says, no, the reason why I filled up the payers is because he's a worker that gets a chilek of the payers. Now he's believed. Says, when is he believed to say that he's a sharecropper? B'toir shalish. If it was within the 3 years. But once 3 years had passed, and now he says, hey, it's mine, and you understand, no, you're a sharecropper. Like, it's too late. Chazaka takes over. If be'emes, let's say, this person was a sharecropper, and he was a sharecropper for 3 years, what should the balabas done? He's a sharecropper for 3 years. What should he have done?
Maybe the deal was you can stay here for 5 years and be a sharecropper.
Yeah. So what do you do in that case? What's the takana? He should have made a macha, saying in middle of the 2 years, go in front of the 3 years. The middle of the 3 years, go in front of 2 Eidim. He should go in front of 2 Eidim and say that you're just a sharecropper. Everybody should know about it.
Does he have to say it in his
That-
face, or he can just say
He said in front of 2 Eidim. In front of 2 Eidim. And that's enough. And if you're going to say it's not a good enough macha, because a macha, the guy is going to say, I didn't think I have to hold my star. Just because he said, I'm a sharecropper, so what? That doesn't deter me. So you have to say, I'm a gazlan. A real macha would mean a gazlan. So maybe I didn't, maybe that's not a good macha. He says, no. If you're not going to say it's a good macha, Honey mashkanta de suda. If you remember, mashkanta de suda was that if somebody lent money to a guy, but he wanted ribis. So how did he do it? That it should be legal. He says, you give me all the produce of your field. I'll pay you a money. I'll deduct 1,000 money. I have to give you $1,000. 100 every year. It's like I bought your field for $100, and I get to eat all the produce, which is $50,000. It's not ribis, because the $100 that I'm buying for the produce of a year, it could be you won't make a penny. So it's not considered as ribis. So, but it happens that people do such deals, that they take $1,000 and he tells them, you use the field and deduct every year $100 from it till you get paid up. So he says, if you're not going to say so, that it's a good macha, hani mashkanta de suda. This case of mashkanta de suda, that every year he takes from the field and he deducts $100, and it's not ribis because it's like every year he bought the field for $100 for whatever produce comes in, he gets to eat all the produce. But Mishnah Shnaya Elaine, for this amount of years, every year gets deducted a certain amount, but it's more than 3 years. Tefik Arad like Kesef. He says at the end of these years, the land goes back to the original owner and you don't owe me a penny. That's the case of Mashkanta de Suda. Okay? He lent him $1,000. He got to eat the produce for 10 years. Every year he deducted $100. Even though from the field he ate much more, it's not called ribis, because it could be he paid $100 for the produce of the field, and sometimes there wouldn't be any produce. So it's not ribis. But he gave it to him for 10 years. So what happens now? He comes mashkanta gabe. What's it feel? Conceal or hide the star. But Aman, he's going to say, L'kuchi biyad. He's going to say, I bought it. Are we then going to say he's believed? L'cheira, it's not his field. So how could you say he's going to be believed? Misakni Rabbanim needed the Asabay Ledei Pseda. Well, the Rabbanim make a takana for it shouldn't be ribis, that he should be able to hold it for 10 years to deduct the
He
chayiv.
shouldn't lose any.
But now he's going to lose his field because he's going to be able to say, I have a chazaka.
I bought it.
So how could the Rabbanim make such a takana that he'll lose his field?
Well, he should have watched the star. No?
What? Yeah, but again, he says he's allowed to say he lost the star after 3
Yeah,
years.
but normally you buy a field and you keep it for 3 years. You say, yeah, 3 years already.
No,
I'm there,
if-
but here was a special arrangement.
Right, but nobody knows about it. He'll hide the star about the arrangement. Nobody will know, and he'll get away with murder. He'll be able to take away the field. So what could the Rabbanim make a takana mitzad ribis? But on the other hand, the guy can lose his whole field. Obviously, he should have made a machal, and the machal would be that we have a deal, like you said. The deal is that every year you pay me back from this field $100 till you pay back the whole chayiv. So you know it's not his; it's only as a mashkin.
Within every 3 years?
Within the 3 years, within every 3 years. So you see, such a machal is a good machal, even though he's not saying he stole it. He only has to say, we have a deal that it's a mashkin. Hachanami, so to hear, by Aris, he can do the same machal. He can go within the 3 years and say in front of to Eidim that this person is just a sharecropper. He doesn't own the field.